Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Chris Dearborn, Managing Director on Nasdaq's Market Intelligence Desk. And Chris, really what the question is, investors are trying to decide if the bottom is in. What say you?
Not yet. in a basic summary, again, we got decimated last week, dead cat bounce. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. We talked a little bit about it last week. And here we are on Monday. It's a nice move, don't get me wrong, but the overall arching narrative has not changed, though some of the other sidebar conversations are starting to get a little bit more positive, but again, nothing concrete. It all comes down to the Fed, and that's a 3 to 6 month timeline, not a 1 day timeline. It doesn't matter what Jamie Dimon says. It doesn't matter what the China tax situation is that the president's talking about. Again, nothing really there substantially that'll change anything. And then obviously, when you talk about China, when you look at what's going on in Beijing, record number of COVID cases, shutdowns across the board, that supply chain issues, nothing's changed.
Right. Yeah, Chris, I would agree with you. We had a number of options folks on the show today, and same sentiment as you. Oversold, yes. Capitulation, no. And there's a number of technical indicators underneath the surface that are suggest that, particularly when we look at the volatility indexes. So with that said, let's take a look at your first chart here. At least in the near term, what are some levels that you're watching? All
right, so we're going very, very near term here. The macro part of it is still what it is. Support in the index is very tight. We have a nice day today. We opened 11,867. We're trading at about 12,000 right now. We don't want to see it break 11,980 on a closing basis. That's really tight. If that does break, the support's tight at 11,172, and then obviously last week's 52-week low at 11,492 is where we're going to be. Resistance is very tight as well. We've got a very narrow band, and we're talking 300 points here. 12,280 on the top side, and then with a target of 12,735. Again, nothing much to really shoot anything at, but you're talking about such a narrow range in this index with nothing incrementally positive coming out that's changed the narrative. And until that does, that near-term bottom in risk assets is just not there. It's a downside momentum, right? Rallies are meant to be sold.
Well, Chris, let's also take a look at the next chart here. Where are we seeing leadership within the Nasdaq 100 constituents?
Right, so that dead cat bounce is coming in the big boys, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet. Costco does have earnings this week, so there's something to look forward to there. The retail massacre that we saw last week has been significant. Ross Stores is up over 10% today. They were the latest, down over 25% on Friday. Again, another constituent, but they're up 10%, only adding 3 points to the index. Downside, really not much there. You've got 75 positive to 25 negative. Amazon is down, a couple of pennies. That's off 2.5%. Really not a lot there. Earnings is kind of starting to unwind. That we do have a couple of big names this week. I mentioned Costco. We've got NVIDIA also and a couple of other companies in the index. So, coming into the long weekend, expect volumes to trade lower. That could give the index some reprieve here on lighter traded volumes. But again, if something more negative pops up, or if the Fed starts speaking and it's not taken very well, this index will retest that 52-week low and make new lower lows.
All right, Chris, appreciate the insight. As always, thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.